Hey, what's up guys, Joshua Boost here and welcome back to another One Piece video. So, it still feels literally unbelievable to say, but I am going to the World Championship in Japan in March for the One Piece trading card game. Absolutely crazy, and I'm gonna be taking you guys along on my journey on my channel, at least the testing stages, because I can't just play Lucci, right? That's not something I can just do. This is serious business, so I have to try other decks as well. And I want to be taking you guys along on my journey, learning those decks, learning the matchups, and I hope, you can take away something from it as well for your own tournaments. Yeah, without further ado, the first deck I'm going to be showing you guys is Blackbeard. First, we are going to be going over this deck list I have right here. And then afterwards, I'm going to be showing you 2 games against 2 different decks, which you already saw in the thumbnail probably, which is going to be Shanks and Luffy. Both definitely, they are not like the top of the meta decks, but there are definitely meta contenders. We have a pretty wide variety in the format right now. So, and I think those decks are really, relevant to know how to play against them if you are playing Blackbeard in this format, because you are going to be running into them at a big tournament for sure. The reason why I want to play Blackbeard first is because he is one of my favorite One Piece characters ever since OPO1. I wanted to be there to be a leader of him, and we finally got that leader in OPO9. I do think the leader is not lackluster. It's very powerful. It has some insane matchups, which I think is definitely a plus for this deck. There are those matchups you would almost say they are like auto win, like Black Yellow Luffy, Lucci. They're not auto win, but they're like very favorable for you. But then on the other side, you have some very bad matchups as well. Dovey is a bad matchup, but like something like Bello Betty is like almost unwinnable. Yeah, the Blackbeard deck, I assume everybody's like familiar with the cards, at least with like everything that's standard in the deck. So I'm not gonna be going like too much about the actual effects, but just the leader, he says you can discard a card, and then until the end of your opponent's next turn, your opponent's unplay abilities don't activate, and also you yourself cannot use unplay abilities. Again, very powerful effect. What you want to be doing with this deck is basically playing like old school One Piece. Nowadays, decks are doing a lot of stuff like Dovey. He gets out like 3 bodies each turn, and with the law he can do like combos with Perona and stuff. Lucci does a lot of stuff in one turn, but this deck you just want to go like play a card, KO a card, it's your opponent's turn. And you are forcing your opponent to also play the slow game, so playing the One Piece fundamentals. When do you counter, when do you block, when do you take life, when do you swing field, when do you swing life. Super, super important when playing this deck. And also you are going to be, at some point in the game, start discarding cards for your leader ability, so it's very important what kind of game you want to be playing with the hand you have, and when you are discarding certain cards. So you have to think ahead a lot when you are playing this deck. And this is also the reason, actually, why I want this to be like the first deck I play or start learning, because I think it's the most difficult deck, so it's probably going to be taking me the most time to get like good at playing this deck. I don't think I'm good at playing this deck yet, because it is very, very hard. Definitely the hardest deck I have played in the One Piece card game. But yeah, just going over the deck list real quick. Basically, it's fairly standard. We have like 4 Laboon. I'm playing Jack now, I'm trying it. I was playing Nightmare Luffy first, but I actually think Jack is a lot better, is very strong. Like being able to play pop at 3 cost is very nice. And you're gonna be seeing like the only cards that are actually attacking in this deck are basically Burgess and Teach. And having Jack as like an additional body to actually attack when you don't need to use the removal effect is very, very handy. And for Augur, for Burgess, you're basically playing like all the good Blackbeard cards 4 times, pretty much. I'm playing 2 Shiryu, and then 4 stronger for the 2Ks, and then 1 Bartolomeo, because I wanted to try Mancheri, which I've actually been liking. It's like a pseudo Lafitte, sort of. And I want to play Bartolomeo because he's a blocker you can like grab back with the Mancheri. But I'm just playing one of each. Didn't want to commit too hard into it quite yet. But I definitely might like up the Mancheri or the Bartolomeo or whatever, depending on how I feel those cards do for me. Then for Doku. 2, Vasco Shot. I really like Vasco Shot. Definitely think it's like staple in the deck. Being able to have like a searchable blocker. Yes, two cost 2k blockers are actually like garbage in regular One Piece, but in this deck it's very strong because no unplayabilities. So yeah, very nice card. And playset of Teach. Lafitte, he is the best if you can play to like a game state where you have like multiple Laffittes or even one Lafitte that survives to like get you a card every turn. You are usually winning that game. 4 Finger Pistol and 3 Liberation or Black Hole, I think it's called actually. Yeah, the 7 removal cards. I think Liberation is especially very important in a mirror match because it allows you to get rid of Van Auger. But, you know, Finger Pistol is just stronger in general because it mills cards for your Burgess and it kills a 5 cost instead of a 4 cost. I'm playing the full playset of This Is My Age. This is actually because I was not running Hachinosu at first. Last week I started like actually practicing this deck and I felt like Hachinosu is not good because you go -1. There it is in the decklist now. Because you go -1 at some point and you already have like so few cards, I was like, I'm just not gonna play Hachinosu. I feel like I have enough searches in the deck. But I have come around to that since then and I added it in back and I am not regretting it. I definitely think Hachinosu has a place in the deck. I think 4 is probably too much until we get Kuzan, but for now, having like 2 or 3 is fine. 3-3 split between this and This Is My Age is also not unheard of, but I like This Is My Age a little bit better. Because again, it is not -1 and it also sets up for your Burgess, which is nice. Yeah, that's all I have to say about the decklist for now. Like next video, next week, I'll probably be playing like a slightly different decklist. But what it's gonna look like, I'm not sure yet, of course, because I have to play this a little bit more. But yeah, that's the introduction, I suppose. Let's just head into the gameplay part, which is gonna be first a game versus Shanks and then a game versus Purple Luffy. Yeah. So the first game we have here is gonna be versus Shanks, as we can see, which I think is probably one of the more fair matchups for Blackbeard, because Shanks is not reliant on the unplay effects at all. Like, it does certainly have powerful unplay abilities like Rayleigh and Dragon, I suppose. However, like the really big drops like the 10 cost Shanks and like the early game of Shanks, they are not really reliant on unplay effects. So Blackbeard doesn't really like shut off the deck entirely. So I definitely think that the matchup is pretty fair, and you know it has access to red cards, which means you know they have Rush, which is inherently very powerful against a deck like Blackbeard. You're gonna see though, like my opponent's gonna make a major misplay, like during the middle of the game, I think. But yeah, I guess we'll just talk about that when we get there, and that's exactly how you learn, right? By seeing misplays, making misplays, and I'm pretty sure I also didn't play perfectly this game, but yeah, we'll see. Let's just go into it. So my opponent opts goes second. I actually kind of like going first, I think, in this matchup, so I don't really mind at all. As you can see, my starting hand is pretty good. I have Hachinosu and Burgess. Burgess being one of the most important cards in this matchup, which is why I decided to keep this, and Hachinosu will just help me get to the game set I want to be in, right? Like I talked about a little bit already. Burgess is just one of the most important cards because Shanks can't out it, so you can just like keep it on the field until you start pushing for game. So what I do here is I discard the 2k instead of the Laboon, because at this point it's still possible for me to, on my 5 Dawn turn, play down Laboon, and then on 7 Dawn play Jack to KO, possibly something like a Yasop or Ben Beckman, which is gonna play out. But yeah, I don't really have a play here, right? So I just swing with leader. I also think, like against Shanks, you only really have to use starting leader effect like in the end game, and even in the end game, you don't always have to do it, because sometimes like their on-play effects are not gonna be very high impact at all, and you rather just keep the card in hand than you pitch the card and like shut off their Rayleigh, which is not gonna be high impactful at all anyway. So he's gonna play Lucky Roo here, which forces me to change my play a little bit because I don't want to play the Laboon. Laboon into Jack into the Lucky Roo, because then the Lucky Roo can just get rid of the Laboon, which is like a little bit unfortunate. I also pick up Lafitte here. I opt not to play it out As you'll see, I'm just gonna play the Burgas, but if I play it out and then like he blocks with the Lucky Rule, he can pop the Lafitte, which I don't want to happen. Lafitte is like one of the most important cards in the deck, because if you can like stick a Lafitte or multiple Laffittes on the field, you're almost always winning the game. So you see, I'm also just getting to the second Lafitte here to maybe get to that game state. Um, Still not using leader effect here. I really only want to start using it from like 7th on and up, because on 7th on he can play down Ben Beckman, which actually does get rid of the Burgess, which we really don't want. But yeah, at this point, like I guess he can play something like Yasop to give himself the plus 1000, but I mean, that's fine, right? And this guy's also like, he's trying to starve me, which I'm not really sure. I think this is like the first things I ever played against who tried to do this. Um, so yeah, he's gonna play Hongo here. I think going white against Blackbeard's actually very strong, so I get why he is doing it. But yeah, I'm just doing a little think here. I'm first gonna swing with the Blackbeard just to see what he does basically, and here's where like the major misplay happens if I remember correctly, because um, I'm literally just swinging to see what he does. Like if he gives him minus 1000, it's fine. I'll just play down Jack and KO the Hongo. Nothing has changed. But if he for some reason doesn't, and that's the thing. Like he blocks here, and I think he's not aware of the Burgess effect, where he cannot be KO'd by card effects. So this is obviously like a huge swing in my favor in this game. I'm thinking a little bit here. I'm gonna take, but I pick up the second Blackbeard, because if you can like go more Blackbeards, then your opponent can go Shanks in the late game. Um, that's really good for you. Usually, I picture Van Auger here. I don't really have any removal anyway, and this is the point where I have to start discarding, because again, I don't want the Ben Beckman to come down and get rid of my Burgess. And also, like if he goes into something like Dragon, could also be strong here to try to run over the Jack. Like if he just does Dragon with Rush here, it's just 9k, and I can just 2k counter out, which is fine to keep the Jack. But with, if I didn't shut off the on-play abilities, it would be different. And also, Rayleigh isn't super high impactful here anyway, because he can't get rid of any of the characters here with his reduction abilities. He probably also, by the way, played the Hongo to synergize with a possible Rayleigh play later, which, if that's the reason he played it, I think it's a little bit weird, because I think from Adon onward, Blackbeard is usually going to pitch, especially with Burgers on field. Like if I didn't have the Burgers on field, I might not even have pitched to prevent the unplay effects, but with the Burgers on field, I really want to keep it there, right? So now he starts swinging, which I think is a little bit odd. Like if you want to try to start your opponents, you really only want to, have them start taking life when you are in a really favorable board position. So I here play This Is My Age. I think I'm gonna go pick the Burgess and then go Lafitte Burgess. Um, that seems like the right play here. And then afterwards, sometimes it's a little bit weird if you have like double Lafitte on the field and you go into the 10 Don turn and you really want to play the Teach, because then the Laffittes are just kind of sitting there, which is not optimal. You see, I'm also thinking a little bit about what I want to do here. But yeah, I'm gonna go Lafitte. Have, what do we have here? Black Hole, Docu, and Vasco Shot as options, which are strong. Yeah, actually, maybe I just don't remember correctly, and I just go Vasco Shot Burgess here. That seems strong, actually, stronger than Lafitte Burgess. Okay, so here he goes to do the minus 1000, which I think is fair. Then they go swing 7. The reason I'm gonna be swinging now is because I'm gonna play down the blocker Vasco Shot afterward anyway. And I'm also gonna play the second Burgess, so if he does get rid of one of my Burgess, that's fine-ish. It's gonna be hard for him anyway, because even if he goes play Shanks, give everything minus 1000. Um, no, that's no, never mind. Never mind. He can still get rid of the Burgers, because he would go just 8 into my 6k Burgers, and at this point I don't have another counter, right? But again, that's fine, because that means my opponent's actually just conceding here, which makes sense, right? I mean, Actually doesn't make sense. Like I'm definitely in a very favorable position, but let's like we can take a look at his hand. He is on 10 done now, which means he can play now the Shanks. He does have some events, but you know if he plays the Shanks, then it's gonna be a little bit rough. He does have a lot of non-counter, but he does have the zero cost event. I honestly don't think I would have scooped here. I probably would just have gone 10 cost Shanks, hits Rayleigh into the Burgas, hit Shanks into the Burgas, and then just leader into life. And then I only have 3 bodies to hit with, which like Burgas, leader, and Jack. Into how much counter does he have? He has like 3k from the event, 1k Lucky Roo, 1k, 1k, 1k. So like he could survive. Um, I wouldn't try to push for game anyway, right? I would probably just play down the Blackbeard to stun his Shanks, and I am at 4 life. So like I get it, Like I was in a super favorable position, and like he probably wouldn't have won, but you know, in One Piece, honestly, like crazy comebacks can definitely happen, and it wasn't looking that bad for him. I definitely would have tried to play it out here. But yeah, I honestly I wouldn't say this is like how a typical Shanks matchup goes. The Lucky Room misplay was definitely very very big, and if they go late game like have multiple Shankses, it's very hard for your own multiple turnips to contend because they reduce by 1000, and then the first one is fine because you can go use 2k to block the attack, which is fine. But like if two hit the board and your tank costs have like minus 2000, that is definitely very rough. But yeah, that's just a small game of Blackbeard gameplay. Um, I don't think I did any major misplays in this one. Maybe like I did one of the discards a little bit weirdly, like earlier in the game. But honestly, I think I played this game fairly well. I would say so. But yeah, let's move on to the next game, which is gonna be against Purple Luffy, which is like notoriously worse matchup for Blackbeard and Shanks. So yeah, let's check it out. Alright guys, like I said, going into the second game here, which is gonna be against Purple Luffy. Um, yeah, like I said already during commentary of the last one, Purple Luffy is a hard matchup because they go up and down fairly fast, which makes it sometimes hard to get to certain thresholds where you can remove your opponent's characters with Duck you Van Augur, Duck you Laboon, because your thresholds don't really match up with the cost characters they are playing out because of the ramping, and they can also go wide with like characters like Sangoro, Zoro, which is hard. Like it's definitely harder to play against a wide field of like 6k characters than it is to play against like a tall field. But yeah, let's just see how this one plays out. If I remember correctly, I got kind of lucky, but we will see. So he chooses to go first, which is definitely correct, right? By far the best curve for Luffy. He passes Turner, which is actually very nice for Blackbeard because it means I can play the Lafitte, get my search, and then I don't have to. Uh, Basically, if they on one done play the Law, he can just go Law, swing into Lafitte, and then he can pressure my life with Luffy. But now this way, if he wants to out my Lafitte, he has to respond with like swinging with his leader, which is definitely fine. But he actually opts not to do this here, which I think is probably incorrect. If you're like a Purple Luffy player and you know why he did this, just be sure to let me know. I even think if he does this just because he wants to forecast lull me, I think it's a little bit weird. Because the Lafitte, like I said earlier, if you have like Lafitte and it stays on the field, you get multiple searches. It means your discards for your leader effect are basically free. And yeah, you really don't want to be having to deal with that when you're playing against Blackbeard. Um, yeah, so just gonna swing 5 here, and I think I play out the Burgas here. And after that, I'm gonna do the leader effect, which is basically you have to start doing it at this point because next turn he goes to 6 Don, he can use leader effect to go to 7 and play out Luffy Taro. And if he goes Luffy Taro, play out like Sangoro or something, the game is over. Like there is just no way you are winning that game because he goes wide too fast, and that's a little bit. It's just too hard to deal with. Basically, you're never gonna be able to keep up with because the Blackbeard deck it only basically outs one guy each turn if you are lucky. That is. Just gonna be pressuring my life here, which is fine. I could get lucky, get the finger pistol trigger, and it's also because he misplayed, right? He shouldn't have played the Sangolo first and then start swinging. Definitely a huge misplay. If you're playing into any deck that plays like removal from life, like yellow or Blackbeard in this case, you don't want to be playing your bodies before you start attacking. Even if like he didn't play the Sangoro first, I would have popped the Zoro, and you will see that I don't think it would have mattered. Honestly, nah, it would have mattered a little bit actually. Never mind. But yeah, gonna get Laffy search here. I was actually searching for the duck queue. Yeah, it would have mattered because then I could have just now I'm gonna duck queue, get rid of the Zoro, but then I would have gotten rid of the um, Sanji with Laboon Dokyo, which would have been the same basically. But yeah, just gonna be pushing his life a little bit here. And what's also really good about the board state that we're getting to right now is I have 3 bodies on field and he wants to clear all of them, but he only has 1 attack. So basically he has to choose of which one he wants to get rid of, and then I can use the other ones still. And basically, it's gonna be super hard for him to get back into the game at this point. Also because I got lucky with the finger pistol trigger for sure. And because he didn't attack the Lafitte, we're gonna see now if he would have just gotten rid of the Lafitte first, would have been so much better. But I think he was probably greedy for the Forkos Law. He probably thought I would take the life and then he could Forkos Law me and he would feel pretty good. But yeah, that did not happen. And now basically it's gonna be super hard for him to get back into the game. I discard the Jack here because I think I want to use Burga's finger pistol next turn. If I want to get rid of some bodies and then after that start playing the Teach. So yeah, he rams into Laboon here, which is fine. I can just let it go. And now I once again can get the Lafitte, and I will because I can play out the Burgas and get rid of the not the Burgas, sorry, the Docu. And this is actually insane. But I get to pick up another Lafitte here, play out the Lafitte. Yeah, you'll see. I'm gonna play out the Lafitte, get another search, pick up. I don't know, probably Vasco shot here. And then I can play out the Burgas, reduce the Zoro, Doku, get rid of the Zoro, and now like there is pretty much no way for him to ever win this game. Um, yeah, I don't know what cards he would need to, but yeah, this is like exactly the game state basically you want to get to when you are playing this deck. And again, I got super lucky in this game. Normally, this is like a very hard matchup, but the finger pistol was very strong. Like I'm already talking like this is the end of the game because I mean, look at this play, right? Play Nami and then swing like 6k into Van Auger, which draws me a card when he gets KO'd. It's like, sure. And now I can just like, just go Lafitte again. Like, I'm not pressured, so I don't have to play the 10 cost. I can just, search some cards, play out Burgas. Oh, this is actually, yeah. I didn't even remember this, but now I can pick up the third 10 cost and then go 5, play double Burgas. Yeah, just, it's crazy, right? Just like a 4 cost body, which is like 8k or 9k, sometimes gets like 10k or 11k beater, which cannot be KO'd crazy. Yeah, you're just gonna play out blockers here, but yeah, just over. And then 11k swing into leader, if I remember correctly. I mean, yeah. There's literally just not much to say. I can just start pressuring him now. There's no way he ever gets through the huge. I also have double Fosco shot now if I want to. If I have to start replacing characters, I think I probably want to go for like play Van Auger to get rid of one of his blockers and then swing with like my other bodies. Searching first, of course, because getting extra cards is very nice. I pick up the thinking a little bit here, and then like my opponent concedes, right? Um, which is fair enough. Like in the Shanks case, like I don't really think it was time to concede just yet, but this game. Yeah, just look at the head, right? Like I feel like it would have been better last turn if you played the Forkos Law, but it doesn't. I don't think it would have actually changed the outcome of the game, right? But yeah, just 2 games here where I do admit to getting a little bit lucky, of course, both times. One time because of Lucky Room misplay, and then this time because of the finger pistol. But that is definitely part of the game. And I think I did get to showcase pretty nicely, like what kind of games that you want to play towards if you're playing Blackbeard. But Um, Probably next time I'll try to play against Doflamingo and Black Yellow Luffy, or maybe Lucci, which would be cool because Lucci or Black Yellow, they are on paper very good matchups. Even though I definitely think for both of those decks, the matchup is definitely winnable. It's not unwinnable at all. And Doflamingo, probably the most relevant matchup in the game right now, the most popular deck. I do definitely expect to see people playing this at Worlds. And Blackbeard is not good into Doflamingo. It's one of the worst matchups, definitely the worst meta matchup. And that's probably, if I don't get a feeling of how that matchup is actually solidly winnable, Blackbeard might not be the deck to take to the World Championship. But I do really like Blackbeard deck, and I definitely think the Dofi matchup is not unwinnable. So yeah, we'll see uh, next week. Be sure to check it out. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe because I'm going to be doing this series for at least the coming 2 months, and I'm also going to be doing some gameplay commentary on this channel in the following weeks, which should also be fun, I think, because I love commentating games. And yeah, then I'll see you guys in the next one. Be sure to like, subscribe, yada, yada, later.